Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in. Inshallah, we're just going to review a little bit, inshallah. My notebook was giving me too much problems, so I'm going to review using my iPad, inshallah. Miskeen, yani. So we're going to conjugate the verb labisa, which means he dressed. And we're going to use the platform huma, hiya, huma, mudhakkar, huma, mu'annath, hum, and hunna. We're going to use these three pronouns. And this is going to be an exercise we see can be finished tonight, inshallah, or be for the homework. Labisata, yes. Labisata. That is for what? Labisata. If that's for mudhakka or for mu'annith. I want to know details. All the third persons. The pronouns are all the third persons. Ghaib. That is huwa, hiya, huma, mudhakkar, huma, mu'annith, hum, wa, hunna. كلها. هو هي هما مذكر هما مؤنث هم هن. Give you 10 minutes. Screen a little bit bigger so I can see what you're writing. Gotta learn how to use the vowels for typing. And the shift buttons. The shift buttons with A, S, D, and Q, W, E. We need to practice that for homework. Get custom when you're typing, how to type the harakat is holding shift, A, S, D, I think F, Q, W, E, and R. Why you write the aleph? It's a question. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Here's the question. You write hu, labisu, aleph at the end. I'm not saying it's wrong. It is correct. But why, what the aleph means? What did the aleph at the end means? That part is to a suffix. I'm not sure. You're not sure. This is very important in Arabic. The alif is part of the structure. It's very important in Arabic language when we deal with things related to grammar, writing, reading. All these little simple small things are very important to grammar and comprehending. And when you're doing reading and reading Quran and comprehending things in Arabic language, these small little things make a very big difference related to grammar. That's part of the suffix. I'm not sure. You can't say it's part of the suffix, then you're not sure. In this case, you need to be sure. The alif here is part of the structure of whom. The waw and alif. If we go back now, we'll try my best to hide. Oh, I forgot. I'm not sharing screen. I'm thinking I'm sharing screen, but let me copy and paste this into the comment area. I'm sitting here thinking we're sharing screen and stuff. Okay. If we go back, I'm going to copy and paste from what I've written in the notes. Hum, fa'alu, right? Fa'alu. I wrote the waw, al-waw, because in Arabic we can spell out the letters. Al-waw, wa means and, al-alif, and the alif, it means the wa and alif means whom. When I'm written in the notes, when I make these little gestures or the written about what this letter means, this letter, part of this, is part of the structure, yes, but it's the pronoun that's in the verb when it's conjugated. So when I see, for example, fa'alu, I know that waw and that alif represents whom. Whom. This is very important. When you're conjugating verbs, I don't have to write down the single individual pronoun. When I'm writing, I conjugate the verb. Fa'alu, darabu, kasaru. Huh? I don't have to say whom. Fa'alu. I say fa'alu. The waw and alif represents the conjugation for whom. Fa'alu. Very important you pay attention to these things. When you're written down, for example, labisna, the na, the fatha on the noon, the noon and the fatha, what did that represent? Aliyah, this is one of your examples. Labisna, the noon and alif, what does that represent? Because copy and pasting is very easy. Comprehending is what is important. No. Labisna. Not labisna. This example is one of the examples you wrote. I don't know why I can't see the comments no more from the old posts. I forgot when you do these things live, they do this to you. Let me just open it up so I can see all the comments. Oh, still not giving it to me. All the comments, everything you wrote. So let me just do this. Use this example here. An example here. Hunna fa'alna. Hunna fa'alna. On the verb. On this verb. A present for addressing the feminine, yes, plural. 3 or more. The feminine what? Noon, what? Plural. Feminine, yes, plural, 3 or more. So do you have any questions? Are there any questions related to the past tense verb? Because I'm contemplating next week either to go to the present tense or go to some irregular verbs. But I don't know. That's 2 letters. How you conjugate them? I think we do that later on. We do maybe inshallah next weekend the present tense. Any questions? So all the suffixes at the end are fixed? Yes. For the past tense verb? Yes. Yes. They do not change. And related in the general term or the general understanding, the present tense verb, the past tense verb is fixed. The general rule. It is fixed. The general rule. Even though when you're conjugating, for example, fa'alt. Fa'alt. It's fixed. It's fixed with sukun. But it's fixed. Fa'alat. It's fixed. Alright? So the general rule that the past tense verb is fixed. Some of the rules, some of the explanation of the rules for conjugating are going to change. But we're not ready for it. Some of the rules for it is going to change, but we're not ready for it now because we haven't learned nothing about conjugating the verbs from past and present. We learn nothing about certain type of conditions when certain things might be deleted, or the vowel at the end of a verb might alter or change a little bit. We haven't got there yet, so that's why I'm not getting deep into detail about it. All right, I'm not getting deep into detail, but there's some little. It's fixed. The general rule is fixed, but it could be changed. It can change in certain conditions, but we're not there yet in the class. We're not there yet because to understand when they fix, that is more. That's not beginners. For me to teach you that, we first have to understand what are all the past tense verbs, how to conjugate them, and if something is changeable or becomes different or the rule change, what causes it? That's something else in grammar. We're not going to understand the concepts. That's something else going to be deeper in grammar. We're not going to understand the concepts of that, especially if we don't understand. We haven't been over even the conjugation of present tense verb. Especially if we go over certain things that we haven't learned yet, like weak letters and verbs. Verbs that have two letters in it, or 4 letters. Letters that are become weak. We haven't learned none of these things. So for me just to get into it in a little bit detail, there's some exceptions to the rules. For example, if I say a rule is fixed, there are some exceptions. There's some cases the rule might alter, but the general rule, past tense verbs are fixed. Present tense verbs are mu'rab, changeable. All right? But for the past tense verb, there is some cases that it might be the rules going to be altered. We're not there yet. We definitely not there. That's not beginner. That's not the beginning of understanding a tasrif or understanding of conjugating verbs. Because if I give you the example and we look them up, you're not gonna have a clue what I'm talking about. You're gonna say, what? Why is like that? And then you're gonna be lost. The purpose of learning Arabic, or how you learn Arabic, is that you don't go and jump to the high complicated things without first mastering the basic things. Without mastering the basic things. So the general rule, past tense verbs are fixed. That's the general rule. Alright? The present tense verb is changeable. But some of the past tense verb related to the conjugation, there's some type of explanations we need to understand. But we're not there yet. When we get into maybe Al-Jumiyah, then now you get some of those examples. We get some of that explanation. But in this particular course, what we're going over right now, only thing you're getting is the surface understanding. The surface understanding. I'm only mentioning Mabni and Mu'arab is giving you a little taste, because when we go into Al-Irab, for example, we learn some of the bases of Irab. Al-Marfu', Al-Mansub, Wal-Majrur. There's a lot more to Irab. Mu'arab, Mabni, there's some other things. I'm only saying it now by my giving deep definitions so you get familiarized with the term. When you hear me, I say something is Mabni. When you hear me, I say something is Mu'arab, for example. And there's some rules that can be bent. There are some rules that can be bent. And we learned that already. How did we learn before that there are some rules that could be bent? It's related to the adjectives. Did we not learn? For example, the adjective must agree with the noun. But I show you some cases that that rule is altered and is changed. Right? Plurals. We can come to the case of plurals and the adjective. We came to the cases of Jamal Mufid. Beneficial or complete sentence. Right? I gave you some examples. Remember, the adjective must agree with the noun in all cases. And I show you it's essential to the rule. So some of these rules that you're learning now, when I say something is fixed, there might be some exceptions to the rule, but you're not ready for it. Because it's not easy. It's easy, but not for you. Not for the beginner. The beginner, when he studies Nahu, depending where he's studying Nahu at, and how he's studying Nahu, Arabic grammar, then that's a different case. Right? But for how we're studying Arabic right now, in this simple book, simple definitions, it's not talking deep into detail. There's nothing in the book yet that we have came across. It talks about Mabni and Mu'rab. There's nothing in the book that I seen that we learned the term Mabni or Mu'rab. Yes, Al-Qalamu Maqsur. That's a complete sentence. So, hey, that rule is altered. That rule has an exception to that rule. So most rules have certain exceptions to it. That's what I'm saying. The past tense verb, it's fixed. It is fixed. Get that structure in your head. And then later on, you're going to learn there's some exceptions to the rule later on. Or how we see the rule fixed. Fixed with aleph, it might be something else related to the past tense verb. Or how they define when something has sakin or sukun on the past tense verb. You might see in some cases the past tense verb ending in kasra. But in general, past tense verbs always end in fatha. But you're going to see in maybe some examples with maybe weak letters that is ending in kasra as an exception to the rule. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. First you have to learn how to crawl before you learn how to walk. Learn how to crawl before you walk. Sheikh Saleh Uthaymin rahimahullah fi al-Sharh al-Jurmiyah, that he says al-Nahu, he says some of the people think Nahu is hard, right? So some people imagine Nahu is hard. He said Nahu is like Bates or castle made out of sugar cane, qasab. But the door is from hadid, from iron. The only thing hard about it is the door. Once you get to the door, the hardest thing is the iron door. But the castle is built out of sugar cane. Everything else is going to become easy. It's going to fall. Because it's built out of sugar cane. He said, this is how nahu. He said, you shouldn't imagine nahu or grammar to be hard. That's what he's saying in general. Like stairs. When you climb the stairs, you take the stairs step by step. If you're not able to, you try to take 10 steps at a time, you're going to fall and hurt yourself. So if you don't accomplish the basics, and you don't understand the basics, when it comes to the more intermediate or complicated things about nahu, you're going to find that, hey, this is hard. Because you don't have the basics. So take it step by step as I'm giving it. For example, we're not going over this yet, but when you conjugate the verb, you know with the feminine, you conjugate the feminine pronoun with the verb, right? And same thing in the Arabic language. When you speak in Arabic, تكلم لغة عربية, right? I can say in Arabic to conjugate the verb, talking about something that is feminine, right? I use, for example, present tense verb, I add ta in front of the verb. I'm going to give you an example. We learned today fa'ala. So the fa'alat means she did, right? Fa'alat. If I say here fa'alat, present tense, here taf'alu. So the ta is in the beginning of the verb, beginning of the fa. Beginning before the first radical fa, it has ta, right? So we know when we conjugate the verb from the feminine, we use the gender pronoun for the feminine. But there's some cases where I could use a masculine pronoun, talking about when the fa'il is feminine. I could use, in some cases in nahu, I could use the masculines. Everybody in Arabic language don't know that. That's not basic Arabic. That's not basic Arabic. It's related to the fa'il, and it's related to the subjects. When the conjugation of the verb of the subject, it is masculine. It's feminine. Some cases do use masculine. But if I tell it to anybody who speak Arabic or know Arabic and haven't studied Arabic in detail, they're going to say, oh no, that's wrong. Until you get them the books of Nahu, you're going to show them there are some cases you can use it. But if I told you this right now, it's going to confuse the person. Try to teach you this. At the same time, you'll be confused. First, you get the basics. You master the basics. Once you master the basics and you get the basic foundation, then you start learning the exceptions and the rules. Then you start learning more details about those basic rules. For example, if I go get al-Jumiyya, not al-Jumiyya, Nahu al-Wadi, let me go get it. So, Nahu al-Wadi is basically the way the book is written. It is how we say, you have two styles of ways that Arabic is taught. One style is the classic old ways, like Al-Junumiyya, Afia ibn Malik. These are the old classic books on Arabic grammar, as Sibawayh. Then you have the modern style of teaching Arabic grammar. So Nahu Wadi is a modern style of teaching Arabic grammar. Some scholars, for example, like in Nahu al-Wadi, this book is designed for school, in a school setting. Right? This is just a Dani. Just al-Awwal. So, for example, I want to read the index. So the first book is 3 series. Juz Awwal, Juz Thani, Juz Thalith. And this is a Ibtadiyya, beginners. This is a Stanawiyya, right? If I go in the book, beginners, look in the index. Because the brother right here is saying, Fi'l al-Madi, Mabni Da'iman. Yes, it's Da'iman. But there's some things that need to be explained. How it's fixed, it needs to be explained in details. So, for example, in the first section, first Ibtadiyya, Juz Awal, it says Fi'l al-Madi. Then the next chapter is Fi'l al-Mudari. Then the next chapter is talking about Fi'l al-Amr. So, talking about the past tense verb, the present tense verb. Then it talks about ad-Fa'il. Then it talks about Maf'ulun bihi. Then it talks about later on Jaml al-Fi'liyya, Jaml al-Ismiyya, al-Nasab al-Fi'l al-Mudari. The present tense verb when it becomes mansub, because the present tense verbs are mu'rab. So in some cases the present tense verbs when it end in fatha, right? This is Juz Awal. I'm just going to read the index. I'm not explaining no rules. Part 1, beginner's book. Part 2, look in the index. You can see, man, a lot of the same things are being repeated. Some of the same chapters are being repeated. Why? Let's go look in the index. Now this is more context, more content. Al-Mabni Mu'rab wa Tamrinat alayhima. Noun Banat. So you have a lesson on Mabni and Mu'rab. Right? Then it has some other lessons. I'm getting to more. Now it's talking about Al-Bana Al-Fi'lu Al-Madi. Fi'l al-Madi, it is what? How it's built, how it's fixed. It's getting more deeper into explanation. Why this is this first chapter and the second chapter, we're talking about the same thing, but now it's getting more detailed. So in the first book, it give you the first juz, the first section, give you a basic understanding of the subject. He's building your basics on Arabic grammar from different sections. This book is not made, this book is not made for English speaker learning Arabic. It's for Arab learning Arabic, a native speaker. So he's giving him grammar in simple ways with a lot of examples in the Arabic language, explaining grammar simple. Then it gets to the second book. Same subjects are being repeated, but now it's getting more detailed. This is only the second book. Now it's a little bit thicker. So it's talking about some of the same subjects, but now it's getting more detailed about these subjects. This is how grammar is taught. So now it's talking about, hey, Fi'l al-Madi, talking about past tense verbs, but now it's talking about Ahwalu Bana al-Fi'l al-Madi. It's talking about the conditions of Bana, the conditions of fixed verbs with Fi'l al-Madi. Why? Why is continue talking about the same subject if it's so easy? Because there's some things that you need to know about Mabni related to the past tense verb. It's not as simple as A, B, and C. First, they teach you the basics of Mabni for the past tense verb. They're going to teach you some other things a little bit complicated. Then it talks about Fi'l al-Madi Mu'tal. Then it talks about the present tense verbs related to weak verbs that have weak letters and the ending letter is weak, and how you do the i'rab. Let me look into it a little bit more. Then he start here. Now it's talking about, the pronouns that are attached and not attached. This is supposed to be a little bit more complicated book. This is the second book. It's not made for English speaker or Arabic. It's made for an Arab speaker. Why it's talking about damirs? Oh, because there's a lot more to pronouns in Arabic language. That's the second book. Now look at the third book. And this is Ibtadiyya, beginners. All right? Let's look in the index and the context. Because a lot of Arabs love to talk about Arabic grammar, and a lot of them don't know Arabic grammar in detail. Trust me. A lot of Arabs don't know Arabic grammar in detail unless he went to college for Islamic studies in the Islamic university, study at Nahu and Sarf, or have a degree in Sharia. Then he's going to learn Arabic grammar in and out. If they didn't study Arabic grammar in and out, don't got his master's or his PhD, trust me, they still don't know Arabic language. I have a school online, and I hire teachers from Egypt, and sometimes I have the female teachers. I give them, what is the meaning of word bab in Arabic? Give me the different meanings. They talk about, they don't know. I said, how you have a bachelor's degree in Arabic language, and you know bab has two meanings. It means door, and it means chapter. They don't know, because she's not into Talabu'an. So I'm trying to know what I'm talking about. So now we're in the third book for Ibtadiyya. More. The index is bigger now. This book is bigger. This book is like these two books together. The third book. Let's take a look at it in the index. Man, we are still talking about, here, Mubtada and Khabar. Wow. This predicate, the subject and predicate. He talks about that here. Mubtada and Khabar in the first book. Let me see, let's take a look at it. Wow, now we in this, the third book. He's still talking about Mubtada and Khabar. So the third section is talking about Mubtada and Khabar. All the chapters in the index, 1, 2, 3, how many on Mubtada and Khabar? 1, 2, Mubtada wa Khabar. 2 sections. Next section, man, 3 sections now, 3 chapters. Khabar, Nawasik. Okay, let's keep on looking at it. And Mastar, still talking about verbs. Still talking about verbs. Mawadi bi kasra hamza. Still talking about verbs. Taqsim al-fi'lu ila sahih wal mu'tal. Still talking about verbs. The difference between sound verbs and weak verbs. Dama'ir rafa bariza mutasila bi-af'al. Talking about the pronouns of the verbs that are rough. What? We're still talking about verbs. This is the last chapter. And this is not no easy stuff. This is not no easy stuff. For Arabic speaker, this is basic. Still talking about verbs. Still talking about rough. Still talking about things related to mabni and mu'rab. Isnadu salam al-mahmuz with mithal ila dama'ir. Still talking about verbs and its pronouns. Now, this is the advanced section of the book now. This is the Juz al-Thani al-Thanawiyya. This is the book for like high school. This is the first Juz. Let's look at the index. Because a lot of Arabs love to talk, and you ask them, what's your background in Arabic language? this not deep. Bachelors sometimes don't even have their bachelors. Learn a few rules. Don't learn every rule. Let's look in the index. Mujarrad, mizad, mujarrad wa muzid. Some stuff complicated. Mizan, al-sarf. The patterns for conjugation. Asma'u af'al. Isms that are like af'al. Al-fi'lu mu'tal wa ahkamuhu. Oh, weak verbs. We're still talking about verbs. Now we're in the advanced section of the book. We're still talking about verbs. You need to keep on looking. Oh, tawkid al-fi'lu. Wow. Emphasis or giving emphasis related to verbs. Oh, we need to really open that chapter. You're going to see something about mubdi mu'nab. You're going to see some exceptions in the rules. Nam and bitsa. Oh, you're going to see that too. That's related to verbs. Tahnidul fi'lu. Here we go. Tahnidul fi'lu li fa'il. Wow, I just mentioned that before. When feminine verbs, sometimes you can use the conjugation of a feminine word that the conjugation needs to be feminine, you can use the masculine form. There are exceptions to the rules. He didn't teach that in the beginning of the book of conjugating the verbs. In this section, talk about fi'l al-madi, past tense verbs. He don't mention nothing like this. He waits till you teach you all the basic rules, and you have a foundation, all the basic rules that they're gonna break out. Now teach you the complicated things, the exceptions in the rules, the details about the rules. Arabic is not taught to teach you all the complicated everything all at one shot. All the basic stuff. So when you get the foundation, you can learn, oh, there are some exceptions to certain rules in Arabic grammar. And we keep on looking at the index. Looking at index. Let's see exceptions of the rules. Arabic is not easy. Conversation, reading, writing is basic. When you want to get deep into Arabic grammar, it's like an ocean. And we didn't get into nothing yet. The stuff I'm reading from the index, man, now I'm looking more at the index. We're still talking about mubtada and khabar. Wow. While the sheikh is continue, 1, 2, 3, 4 books now we've been, 4 different sections of the book, he's still talking about verbs and mubtada and khabar, the subject and the predicate. This is an advanced book now. He's still talking about those things because more things to the rules. They teach you all the basics of the rules. They're going to see, hey, some rules are altered. Some rules have complications to them. Some rules are very hard, so they need to give you the explanation of all the basics and teach you later on all the complicated things about it. Let's look. Naibul fa'il. إذ كان ظرفا وجارا ومجرور. Mubtada. Oh man, talking about the same thing. Mubtada and khabar. The mubtada إذا كان nakira. So we know that the mubtada is always what? Is always what? Ma'rifa. But here, the sheikh is teaching you in the advanced book that the mubtada, the subject, sometimes is indefinite. Wow, it's right here in the book. What's this? Mubtada إذا كان nakira. There's some exceptions to the rules. So this guy who here telling me stuff, sometimes Arabs don't know Nahu very well. So hey, there's some exceptions to the rules. I'll keep on reading. Muwada hadaf al-mubtada wujuban. In some places when the mubtada, it is deleted. Wow, a lot of exceptions to the rules. Now, all the rest is talking about mubtada and the khabar. I wonder why. Wow, this is an advanced book. Why is talking about al-idafa? Wow, because there's some exceptions to the rules related to idafa. This is the intermediate book. Only the first section. Let's look at the second book. Oh, it's even bigger. Look at the index. And it's really college level Arabic. Even says high school, it's really college level Arabic. Let's look at the index. Wow! We in the advanced book, and the first section is talking about al-mabni min af'al. Talking about al-mabni from af'al. Wow, we're still talking about this? This is the advanced book. Mabni wa mu'rab min af'al wa asma'. Wow, this is the advanced part of the book. They talked about that in the first book. In the first book, the first series, the second book, the second juice, in the first Ibtadiyya, the beginner's book, they talked about this. Why are we in the advanced book and now it's talking about it more? Because there are some exceptions and more details to the rules. That's the first section. Wow, keep on reading. Mabni min af'al. Mu'rab min af'al. Mabni min asma. And mu'rab min asma. He's talking about the same thing. Why? You think he's talking about the same thing he talked about in the beginning of the book? No. More advanced things. اسم الفاعل وعمل به اسم المفعول. We talked about that in the first book. First book. Why are we in the advanced book talking about the same thing? اسم تفضيل. We learned that. اسم تفضيل. He's in the advanced book talking about that because there's more things to the rules. Oh, شروط مثنى. This is the advanced book now. He's talking about the condition of the duels, because there's more things to the duels. Second book, the last book. The last book of Thanawiyah. Looking in the index. Oh man, lost the index. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, index fell out of this book. Let me see. Pages 146. Yeah, 148. No, it didn't fall out. Here we go. Index actually one page. التذكير النصب أحكامها وإقرار واختصاص واشتغال استغانة استغاثة جملة التي لها محل في إعراب اسمها إعراب. The last book still talking about إعراب. Must not be that simple. Must be a lot of things, a lot of rules, a lot of exceptions to a lot of rules, and a lot of rules in general. The last book. Hey, and Nahu Wadi got it the third book. It's called Al-Balagha Al-Wadih or Balagha Wadiha. It's another book. Complicated. Balagha is another issue. You notice all these three books for Nahu Al-Wadih, nothing about Balagha. Nothing about Balagha. Balagha is not the first thing you study. Why nothing in here is about Balagha? Let me see. Because Balagha sometimes breaks the rules in Nahu. So before they teach you Balagha, they make sure you learn a lot of things about Nahu. You understand the rules of Nahu, which are complicated. They have the beginners, and it has the sections to the rules, and it gets complicated, and more rules. And they make sure you know that. Then they teach you Balagha. Because Balagha breaks a lot of rules in Nahu. And Balagha is how to beautify the speech in Arabic grammar, and Arabic language. Arabic language, how to beautify the speech. because it breaks rules in Nahu. So, hey, I know somebody he was listening to what I was saying, some brother here, and he don't think that there's no exceptions to the rules. Arabic's not that simple. I'm telling you, and even a lot of Arabs don't know Arabic language because Arabs speak a lot of dialect, a lot of slang. I go to Saudi, people say, oh, they speak Fusha in Saudi. No, they speak a lot of slang in the street. They speak slang in their house. A lot of Arabs speak slang. Just like in America, a lot of us don't speak proper English. We speak a lot of slang. Ain't. Ghana. Huh? Ain't. We speak slang. Arabs don't speak no Fusha in their house. Rarely you find an Arab who speak Fusha in his house. So a lot of Arabs don't know Nahu or Lugha Arabiya, the Fusha, good, unless they study in an Islamic college and they focus on Arabic language or any other of the Islamic sciences. He's a sheikh, maybe a doctor, he's a student of knowledge, he has his masters, he has his masters or his PhD, he's make his field in his life, his career related to the deen, then yes, these people could speak Nahu. If he seek his life studying siyasa and politics, yes, he can speak Arabic language, speak Fusha. The sheikh can speak Fusha. Somebody who in an Arab country focuses his whole life on journalism, he can speak Arabic language because you have to understand Nahu in and out and Balaga. Our lawyers, same thing in an Arabic-speaking country. But the average guy, a lot of them don't know Arabic language in and out. Why not? You see, and some people, you would think this is hard. All these three books is hard. If you look inside these books, hard, they ain't nothing. It's not nothing. If you go right now, look online, and you type in the book on YouTube, and Nahu al-Wadi, look at the videos will come up. Ain't no Americans in these classes. Ain't no English speakers. It's all the Arab speakers who don't understand Arabic grammar trying to learn Arabic language. If you go put Nahu al-Wadi in Arabic language in YouTube, you're going to see the videos come up. Look who's in the teacher. Look who the students are. They're not Westerners. They are Arabs because they don't understand Arabic grammar and they need to learn. If they want to be religious, they want to be into Talib maybe they don't have a degree or background in it. Maybe they are studying it. They want to get a little stronger. And Nahu, they're studying these books. These books are designed for them because it says on the book right here, El Madaris, for school. It's designed for Arabic speakers. This is not a book that a non-Arabic speaker who want to learn Arabic language, this is not a book for him. Unless he's a non-Arabic speaker who's non-Arabic, a little bit intermediate, a little bit advanced, he wants a little bit extra, then he can study these books. Because it's designed for Arabic speakers who don't know Nahu. And high school and college stuff. Basically high school. This is really high school stuff. And the style of this book is written is the modern way how to teach Nahu. Then you have the classic ways of teaching Nahu. And the classic books of teaching Nahu, like Al-Rujrumiyya, which in every Arab country don't study Al-Rujrumiyya. Every college, that person studying maybe for his degree in Arabic language, they don't study Al-Rujrumiyya. They might study, they will most likely want to study Afi ibn Malik, Shah ibn Akil, Sibawayh, Qat al-Nada. All the college, university have their own curriculum, their own books from their own mashaykh who have their PhD in Arabic language, their own written curriculum for their college and university. So Arabic language is not, it's not just this one rule, and I said that the rule is fixed, but there's some exceptions to the rules. Yeah, best believe there are some exceptions to the rules, but it's not for the beginners. I only say certain things, mu'rab, mabni, because I know later on when you study Arabic grammar in detail, you need to be familiarized with these words and these terms. I introduced the deep definition, the categories of mabni and mu'rab. There are categories. I didn't introduce it to you because if I bring down the categories for mabni, you won't have a clue what I'm talking about. Maybe 2 or 3 conceptions or 3 ideas or 3 things I mentioned about it, you will understand. But the rest, like, oh, I never learned that. What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? It's all because all the things I'm going to mention is from the basic things about Arabic grammar that you need to know first. Then the scholars break down what is mabni, what is mu'rab. It's only mentioned in this book because the Arab student who's college, high school, should already be familiarized with these terms because it's part of the Arabic grammar. Should already be familiarized. This is not for like school kid books in the Arabic country. This is not what this stuff is right here. Even though some of the concepts in it are actually simple, some of them, related to the examples they give. So if you're going to study Arabic language, you have to study a particular format. You don't take the hard stuff and you study it first. It's not going to benefit you because you're not going to build your language. If the stuff is hard and complicated or the high knowledge and nahu, and you don't have the basics, it's like somebody who wants to be an engineer and hasn't memorized the times tables. Huh? It's like somebody want to be an engineer and he doesn't memorize the timetables. Let me even take it to the next level. Like somebody want to be an engineer, wants to work for NASA. You think you just memorize from the 1s to the 12s for the timetable? Nah, man, you memorize 1 to the 20s in your memory. 1 to the 20s. Yeah, 1 timetables. Now that's the 12. Not 11 and 12. We go to 13, 14, the 15, the 16. Because outside of the U.S. and Asia, that's how they memorize. That's why they're better than us in math. So you have to have the foundations first in Arabic language. The basics. In this course, in this book, is just giving you a surface. A surface, not deep. Not even an arm depth inside the water. This is a surface understanding of what is the basic of Arabic grammar, familiarizing with terms, familiarizing with how to understand the term in your language and the Arabic language, and get some vocabulary and get some grammar under your belt. Then maybe later on, you go into something deeper or you get into another serious class. A lot of people, when they study, especially English speakers, when they study Arabic language and they go over way to study Arabic language, or to go to a school or into a college to study Arabic language, a lot of them who never studied Arabic before, they have a hard time. Especially these guys and these brothers and sisters who don't speak a dual or 3 languages or 2 languages. A lot of Westerners, Americans, who, like in America, who don't speak 2 languages, a lot of times it's very hard for him or her to learn a second language. Most of my companions who speak 2, 3 languages, Arabic language, they study Arabic, they learn real quick. People I know who was Hafiz in Quran, and they go study Arabic language, they learn it real quick. So a lot of us are not accustomed to how to learn a second language. We don't know how, because we don't speak a second language in our house. We just speak English, and we don't know how to learn or master another language. So a lot of us, when we go over to study Arabic in the school or in the Arab country or in the school, a lot of them have struggled. They struggle with the Arabic language because they're not familiarized with all the terms. See, in the beginning, you're going to learn Arabic, you learn all the basic and simple things. Then when it gets more complicated into Iraq, into the things I mentioned from this book, it gets complicated, you're going to get lost. You don't have a lot of vocab. You don't understand the rules. You never studied Arabic before. This is his first time. And I see people, my companion who studied Medina University, going to tell you, yeah, he's seen people go there and they drop out. They don't even make it to the kuliya. They don't even make it to their faculty of what field they're going to specialize. They don't even make it there. They drop out. They fill out the institute that's for Arabic, learning Arabic language, 2-year program. So they fell and they flunk out, some of them, because they never studied Arabic before. And for some people, it's hard. So I'm trying to teach you the basic, simple things that will help you. So when you go to somewhere studying Arabic, like myself, I went to Egypt to study Arabic. I didn't start studying Arabic when I went to Egypt. I didn't start thinking about learning Arabic when I went to Egypt. I studied just like you, from a book like this. Somebody teaching me these basic, simple things. Then I went to a school to learn Arabic. All the concepts wasn't hard for me to understand because I had a little basic understanding of all the terms. And if the teacher gave me all the detailed information, all the detailed information, then he gave me. They don't give you all of it at one time, and they build your language and your structure. That's how learning is. So Arabic language, step by step, step by step. Nahu, another problem. Only teaching this course because a lot of people are interested in learning Arabic grammar. All right? So there are going to be some people that this might be all they have. This right here, what I'm giving you, might be all what they have. So if this is all that you have, as I met people who study Arabic in America or in a setting like this, English speaking country, whatever, in a setting like this is all they had, and he was able to take it and go very far, meaning that he was able to take it and understand Arabic, pick up books in Arabic related to Deen, and understand it. Use the dictionary, look up words, grab a massive vocabulary, understand basic grammar, go to the internet, listen to some sheikh, listen to audios, building their grammar, building their vocabulary, building their circles of people who understand Arabic, getting with people who understand more than him, people who've been away and study Arabic, making them friends, going to their class, and they learn the Arabic language. I have a friend of mine, he never left the United States. He speaks Arabic very well. And he understands Arabic very well. One of my first teachers, and he never left the United States to learn Arabic. Even though when I see him, when I see he teach, I say, oh, he got some mistakes. I tell him sometimes, you got mistakes in how you teach it off. I said, okay, I give him an excuse because he never went outside the country and went into a formal class with a teacher who got his PhD in Arabic language, teaching him Arabic. I said, but for somebody who learned on his own from books and things like that, like my friend, he can translate whatever you want. Translate. Anybody talk any book, he understand anything about Arabic. He just understand it. Because he put his emphasis and he put his goals to learn it. Because we not all of us are not, going to go or guaranteed to go away and study Arabic. We're not guaranteed that. We're not guaranteed to go away to study Arabic. I have many people I have seen in the past, brothers I have met, they say, oh, I'm going to learn Arabic when I go to Medina University. I met a brother who used to say this for years and years and years. And as the time we should go learn Arabic just like how we're learning here. He wouldn't come to the classes. Oh, I learn Arabic when I go to Medina University. Man, like 15 years passed by. Man, I look at this guy and he's like stuck. He's still saying the same thing. And he don't know nothing. And he's a young guy. He didn't get the opportunity because a lot of people just say it. But they don't know how to go away to study. Or they say these things, but that's not really the intention because they don't know how, or they just don't have the opportunity, or they become busy, or they have a lot of responsibilities and they're not able to do it. Does that mean that you don't study Arabic where you live? Does it mean that you don't study Arabic where you live? That means that you can't learn Arabic where you live? Look in America. In America, they teach you Spanish in school. Or you in South America, you have to go to South America to learn Spanish. The teacher teach you Spanish in school in here in the United States. Huh? You can learn Spanish here. You don't have to go to South America to learn Spanish. Look at how many people who speak Spanish in America who never been to South America. I have many of my companions who speak Spanish and they never been back to their mother or their parents' home country. They learn the language from here, their parents, in school. I have my companion, never been to South America. He could read, write Spanish. Never went to school for it because somebody told him here. I have a friend of mine, he's from Sudan, and I had to translate it. He speaks Spanish. He didn't go to South America to speak Spanish. He learned Spanish here. So he told me, you can't learn Arabic language here. You can't learn Arabic language here. You definitely can learn Arabic language here. But if you could go away to study it, it'd be a plus. If you could find a curriculum or a course where the teachers have their PhD, the teachers have their master's, or they have their bachelor's degree, and they specialize in teaching non-Arabic students Arabic grammar, Arabic language, then those are these courses you need to take. If you can't afford it, don't have the money for it, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay ignorant? Are you going to stay ignorant? The answer is no. You're going to find some classes, somebody who's teaching Arabic, and you learn. And in some cases and sometimes, it's not going to be one person. That's another thing. It might not be one person. Or it might not be one course. You might have to take various courses. Even myself, I didn't learn Arabic just from one place, one teacher, one school. I didn't learn Arabic that way. Personally myself, I learned Arabic from wherever I was at and able to teach. My first teacher for Arabic language, he was Spanish. Actually, he was Spanish. He was from Argentina. My first Arabic teacher was from Argentina, who graduated from Medina University. That's my first Arabic teacher. A guy from Argentina. My first teacher for Arabic language. Argentina. But he was Lebanese. He had Lebanese roots. But he told me he didn't learn Arabic until he went away to study, to learn, even though he had Arab roots. He said he knew nothing about Arabic language until he went away to Medina and studied Arabic language. And this guy is South American, who is Lebanese origin, learned Arabic in Saudi, not from his parents. Because he told me he took Shahada, so his parents were Lebanese Christians. One of them, I think, was Lebanese Christian. And he taught me Arabic. My first teacher, basics. To have somebody else, I got what I could get from him because he was teaching Arabic for a living. And people who teach Arabic for a living, at times, when they teach you real slow. Each chapter is money. Because I worked for a school before teaching English second language. I understand that the syllabus is your money, how you make your money, how you make a profit. It's how language schools make money. So my teacher, I know, he was trying to make money. I said, I can't learn everything from him because I'm going to go broke or I'm never going to get there because he's trying to teach, that he get a certain amount of money from teaching a certain amount of lessons. So he keep the information just a little bit. He just give you a little bit, give you what you need, and he give you he give you what you need, and then a little taste for the next level, so you don't quit. You go to the next level so you get paid. That's the business of language schools. So I can't get everything from this guy. I go to somebody else. And at the time, I had a friend who was Syrian. She gave me a lot of Arabic lessons for free. Then the guy from Argentina, I left him. And then I met another companion who introduced me to this book, Arabic Made Easy. And he said, man, I give you a shortcut and a free way to study Arabic so you can understand books in Arabic. You can understand scholars in Arabic. And he taught me as much as he can. And I said, forget about trying to read books here. Then I went to Egypt because he said he taught me all that he knew. And I went away to a school. And then they stay in one school. Even though a person go away to school should stay in one school, from my personal experience. So you might have to go to one person, this person, and then when you're in school, I don't just stick with the school. I go to a school, have somebody tutoring you on the side, private teachers. And one thing about Arabic language, you must put in hours. I don't know how many videos that have talk about Arabic language, and I always mention hours. You must put in hours. Can't study Arabic one day a week for 2 hours, 3 hours. Unless that's all you have. لا بأس. لا مشكلة. ممكن هذا يكفي لك. Maybe this is sufficient for you, but it's not really sufficient to master or have a good hold and grasp of the Arabic language. Look at it. I look at some of my friends who study on the college level overseas. I ask these guys how many hours they in classroom. They say from Fajr they go to the masjid, they memorize Quran, then they go to their school. They school wherever they faculty in before they get to their faculty. The faculty go to study in. They study Arabic language. They said they in school about 8 to 10 hours, plus studying outside the school and taking lessons outside the school. You must submerge yourself in the language. You must put in a lot of hours. So what about us here? In the country where they don't speak Arabic, and Arabic's not all around us, and everybody's not trying to learn, and everybody's not teaching. You must put in a lot of time. You must do a lot of studying. So most likely, one program or one curriculum might not be sufficient for you. Might not be sufficient. And a lot of things about Arabic classes is that they're not consistent in America. I know in America, in Canada, many English-speaking places or non-Arabic speaking places that teach Arabic, the classes don't go through the whole course or the whole curriculum because people drop out. They see that it becomes difficulty, or they don't have the time or don't see the importance of Arabic language, or they're not trying to be a student of knowledge. So most likely sticking to one school or one course on the program in the masjid might not be sufficient because they might not even finish the course. And then you have some places in America when they do teach Arabic, it's a hustle. It is a business. So they're going to teach you. It take you a certain amount of time, 2 or 3 years, just to get to a certain level. For example, book Arabic Made Easy. My friend who teach the book, finish the course, be able to pick up, I think, books in Arabic, understand them, listen to Sheikh and understand it, learn how to use the dictionary, have vocab, learn about the basic Arabic grammar. 6 months. 6 months. And I compare his students to another local masjid that had an actually Arabic institute that was offering people associate degrees in Arabic language. And I found out the course for them was 2 years. 2 years. So I compared my friend who teaches students within 6 months to that other school, 2 years to get an associate degree. My friend who teaches for 6 months consistently, a couple of hours, twice a day, twice in a week, for about 3-4 hours, like I'm teaching the people here now. I find his students knew more than the other course that took them 2 years and had an associate degree. They didn't have no conversation in Arabic. I don't understand why not. 2 years, you should have conversation in Arabic. Nahu Wada, this book would be too hard for them. So it's about what type of teacher you have and how they teach. The purpose of Arabic, sometimes when I teach, is to shortcuts. It is shortcuts. Shortcuts. There are shortcuts. Sometimes books like this is a shortcut. It's not going to get you to your final destination, but it's going to get you somewhere. It's going to help you go to your final destination. Take a book like this or a course like this. Look what I study. I'm studying with my teacher this stuff. Nahwa, this stuff is not simple, not hard, but it's not simple. It is sometimes, even for myself, it is overwhelming because there's a lot of things to Arabic grammar, and it can become overwhelming at times. So it's not simple. And this is just one curriculum or one book series. There's other books. You know, Afiyah ibn Malik. Shah ibn Akil. Alright, Shah ibn Akil. Now, Egypt, they teach you this in Azhar, high school and college. High school and college. In Saudi Arabia, they teach you this in college. So, you know, Egypt is a little bit more advanced. Arabic program is a little bit more advanced compared to Saudi Arabia, right? This is a classic book, right? It's a very classic book. It's not like a modern style book like Nahu Wada. We're going to give you examples and questions and exercises to do. This is not like that. They're going to teach you Arabic straightforward. This is from Shah ibn Akil. It's from Shah Afiyah ibn Malik, which is like a Arabic grammar explained in poetry type way. And he breaks it down. This is the classical ways how people study at Nahu, Arabic grammar. And Nahu is only one aspect of Arabic language. It's not the whole aspect. And that's what I forgot to say. Nahnu is not the whole thing about Arabic language. Nahnu is a section or a category in Arabic language. There's other things about Arabic language. You must have vocabulary. One of my companions said that he has this imam in the masjid, and he says that when he looks at Afiyah ibn Malik, he said he doesn't understand what's going on. And I was like, wow, that's deep. I said, because this guy, he translating stuff, and I said, that's deep, mashallah. Doesn't mean that you have to study this to understand Arabic. And I said, but a good Arabic student, a good student of knowledge in Arabic, he's going to study this. Because the Mashaykh, all the Mashaykh explain this book. All the Mashaykh explain Alfiya ibn Malik. Sheikh Salih Uthaymeen, every Sheikh studied this book. And even they studied this Sharh. Every big scholar, they studied this book. Because it shows the importance of Arabic language. Sheikh Uthaymeen has an explanation of this book. This is Arabic language. He has an Arabic grammar. He has a book explaining this. He has a book explaining Alfiya ibn Malik. This is Sharh ibn Akil, a very famous Sharh of Alfiya ibn Malik. So what are my goals in Arabic? The goal is take this to get you to another level, like Al-Jurumiyya, or Arabic course, or Al-Jurumiyya, or Arabic curriculum course for non-Arabic speakers, which they do have online. There are, if you can't go away to study, there are many places on the internet where you can study Arabic language that's designed for non-Arabic speakers. And we need these courses. Because this book right here, or not even this book, Al-Jurumiyya, if you finish Al-Jurumiyya, I know many brothers who read the Matin Al-Jurumiyya and they don't know nothing about Arabic language. They don't know nothing. I have many companions, I have many friends that know Al-Jurumiyya, they study this, can't even speak Arabic, don't understand nothing in Arabic, don't understand no books. They barely understand Al-Jurumiyya. And they think that's the end all to Arabic. That's how a lot of the Western Muslims think. That's the end and that's it to Arabic language. In reality, Al-Jurumiyya is a muqaddam fi nahu. Al-Jurumiyya is only an introduction to Arabic grammar. And many of the Western students, their brain is like, what curriculum I must study? What curriculum I must study? In Arabic language, it's not like this. What curriculum is what subjects you have to master. And Arabic language is this nahu. Nahu is one aspect. There's many things. How are you going to have conversation? How are you going to pronounce words? You know, even in Nahu Wada, and books in Nahu, you know, sometimes they even mention some rules in Tajweed. Ittigam. I was looking at this other day in some book we were studying, Nahu. Ittigam. I asked the Sheikh, what are you talking about Ittigam here? I said, that's Tajweed. He said, yeah, but the Sheikh is talking about in the book in Nahu, Arabic grammar, he's mentioning some of these things about Ittigam. I said, what is Nahu? Because, wow, Tajweed has some relation to Arabic grammar and has relationship to the Arabic language, even though it's related to a Tajweed, how to recite the Quran properly. Because you have an Arabic language and Muqarij, pronunciation, like we have in English, the phonics system. In Arabic, you have phonics system. Does this book cover phonics system? No. Does this book cover the phonics system in Arabic? No. Does this book cover the phonics system in Arabic? No. But you need to know it. You have to know it and master, because if you know Nahu, but you can't speak or you cannot pronounce the letters properly, then people who speak Arabic or understand Arabic don't know what you're saying because you're not speaking it properly or using it properly. What about vocabulary words? Well, if you don't have no vocabulary words, you definitely will never study and read this book. Because it'll give you some vocabulary that's, you know, how Arabs use vocabulary. If you don't have vocabulary, you're not going to be, definitely you'll never be able to study this. So that means you need to have vocabulary words. That's part of Arabic language. Vocab. You need to have at-ta'bir, expressions, which is related to vocabulary. And you need to understand sarf, conjugating verbs, or verbs itself. You must understand that. And that's why I'm focusing on the verbs. That's very crucial in Arabic language, verbs. So I will end. I spoke a lot. I always say I will try to do for 10 to 12. But anybody have any questions, ask me. If I ever give you any rule, and I say this is fixed, but there's some exceptions, just take it like that. Don't get deep into what is the exception, because if I don't mention it, it means you're not ready for it. That's why in this book, I skipped a lot of lessons. You notice I didn't do the numbers. I definitely didn't do inna wudu. I didn't do this. Inna wudu, because I don't understand the person who written this book, why he's going to teach you about inna, because inna has sisters. Inna wa akhawatuha. other words, like other particles like it. And related to anna and his part or his sisters, some of them work, one of the few of them, they work with verbs. I can't teach you anna and don't teach you kana. Kana wa akhawatuha. And his sister. I can't teach you that. Inna wa akhawatuha wa kana akhawatuha. And you know nothing about verbs. You should took this section of the book and left it for the end of the book after teaching about verbs. You should have done that. Because I can't teach you about enna and I don't teach you his sister. Because if you study Arabic in the school in the proper way, they're going to teach you enna wa akhawatuha, enna and its sisters. Kana wa akhawatuha. Bilal Phillips' book on Arabic language. I did a video last week talking about something about, I forgot the video was about. But Arabic language, of course, it's going to be about Arabic language. And I mentioned about curriculum. And I say, hey, this book is by Bilal Phillips. I have a book by Bilal Phillips by Arabic grammar. And it teach you qala wa kana. But it teach you nothing about conjugating verbs. I said this is one of the worst books on Arabic language and English. Because if you're going to talk about kana and qala, but don't teach you how to conjugate verbs, the past and present tense verb, it doesn't make no sense giving you a lesson about kana, because kana is a special word in Arabic. It's not like a regular verb. And to teach that, but don't teach what is darraba, a regular verb, like darraba, kasara. Now teach you this, because kana is a special word, and it has sisters. It's a special rules with this, but I don't teach you about regular verbs and conjugating regular verbs. That's what I said, that book was no good. Even though it has a lot of basic, simple rules like asma and things like that you need to know, but then it goes in the lesson, the book kana wakala, it doesn't make no sense. I don't even use that book to teach nobody, because it doesn't make no sense to teach you kana wakala and the person knows nothing about verbs or conjugating verbs. It doesn't make no sense, because kana gonna have to conjugate kana too, and kana is not the conjugation of it. It's for the mudara. There's some exceptions to some of the rules, especially for the mudara. It don't make sense teaching you all that, but you can't conjugate a regular verb. It don't make sense, you know. And so this is why I'm somewhat, I don't try to grab from every book. And I'm not saying that every curriculum is perfect. This book is not perfect. That's why I'm using the other book for substituting, you know. But it would get you to where you need to go. And where you need to go is into books like this and books like this and other curriculum. It would get you there, especially curriculum related to teaching Arabic to non-Arabic speakers, like the Medina Arabic course, which is okay, Arabiya Baina Yadayik, which is okay, and other courses. And any school have this. Most schools have their own curriculum or courses or their own design or way of doing things like this. But this will get you through the door. You would be better off than the person who never studied Arabic, then goes to a place or a real setting to study Arabic, and he doesn't have nothing. You'd be better off than that person, because now you understand certain concepts. You understand certain terms. These things are not strange to you. So when you're being taught, you'll be able to catch on what the teacher is saying, compared to a person who never studied Arabic language, and he goes to study Arabic and he thinks about Nahu, they be lost. As one of my companions, he's in Medina, and he has a companion, he like flunked out. And we was talking to him online. He was like, I asked my friend why he's flunking out. He said, oh man, some of these guys, man, they never studied Arabic before, and he's very heavy. And my companion, he studied Arabic before he went away to Medina. He studied this book with us and some other curriculum. So when the teacher's teaching him, a lot of the concepts he's already familiar with. Now he's studying this. And he's in the Kuliya Hadith, and he studied a little bit of Shar ibn Akil. Afi ibn Malik, Shar ibn Akil. He studied a little bit of this in his Kuliya. And he studied this at home on his own and with a sheikh in the masjid. And he says, man, it's a little difficulty for him, But he said he could pull it through because he has now good basic foundation in Arabic language from his institute. Huh? So a book like this get you through the door. All right. So any questions? Any questions? Inshallah. I hope Sister Aliyah answered your question about mabani, about the past tense verb being fixed. Yes, the past tense verb being fixed, but there is some exceptions and there's some explanations that I didn't explain because we're not ready for it, inshallah. You know, we're not ready for it. When we get to the Al-Jurumiyya, then you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. Because all the past tense verbs, when the conjugation, there's some exceptions to the rule. Maybe I could show you one. Let me give you a little taste. Let me give you a little taste. A little taste. Let me see. Let me give you a little taste. Let me give you a little taste, inshallah. What you want. Let me see. Let me give you a little taste. Let me give you this little taste. I think I'm going to give for you the Medina book, third book. I think it talks a little bit about it. It touches it. Let me see. Can I give you that and let you take a little look at that? Let's see, can I find that book real quick for you? I want to leave you with a little something. Find you something. Give me a second. I'm gonna find you something so you get a little taste. Here we go. Let me write it out. So you get a little taste. Just a little taste. Here we go. الفعل الماضي يبنى على الفتحة إلى إذا انتصلت به واو جمع، ويبنى على ضمة أو انتصلت به الثاء المتحركة أو نون النسوة أو ناء نون ألف دالت على الفعل فيبنى على سكون. So I give you a little taste, just a little taste. So فعل الماضي, the past tense verb, yabna, it is fixed upon fatha, which I explained before, except if it ends in tasalat bihi the waw jama'. Waw jama'. For yabna ala damma. So if the the past tense verb is fixed on fatha, there's an exception to the rule, right? Except if it connects with it the waw jama'. What is the waw jama'? Aliyah. It's part of conjugating the verbs now. Whom. Conjugate whom. Fa'alu. Right? That waw there is very important. Except for the waw of the jama', meaning group. Right? Plural. فَيَبْنَى عَلَى دَمَّ. In this case, it is fixed on damma. It is fixed on damma. أو انتصل به الثاء, unless it's fixed or it has the letter tha. أو نون نسوة, or the noon for the feminine case like hunna, fa'anna. أو na, meaning nahnu, dalat ala fa'il wa yabna ala sukun. So in this case, it is mabni with sukun. why I said there's some exceptions to the rule. When I said the past tense verb is fixed on fatha, but there's some exceptions on the rule. Yes, it is always fixed, but it could be fixed on fatha, fixed on dhamma, in the case of the nun naswa, watha, or ta, I'm sorry, then it's fixed on what? Sukun. Then it's fixed on what? Sukun. So there's some exception to the rules, but we're not ready for that. Why are we not ready for that? Because we know how to, right now, we just focus on conjugating the verbs for past tense. Once we master that, if I told you that right now, that it's fixed on fatha, and in some cases it is fixed on dhamma or wow, in the case of dhamma, what do you mean? How is wow the case of dhamma? Then you're going to ask the next question. How does wow take the place of dhamma? That's the next question you're going to ask. Then it takes me to get into more things that you're not ready for. But if you learn everything simple, the basic foundations, and you build on that, then you get to the next level, which is something else. Taking the same rule you learned, then learning some exceptions. That's why I said later on, we learned that in where? We learned that in Al-Jurumiyya, inshallah. We learned that in what? Al-Jurumiyya. Then we didn't learn yet. What all the alamatu al-irab. I didn't teach you all the signs for irab. I told you raf, right? Nasb and jar, right? Or raf, jar with nasb, right? That's with the related to dhamma. In the case of raf, kasra. In the case of majroor, and fatah. In the case of nasb. But I didn't tell you. There's some letters that take the place of the harakat. I didn't teach you that yet because we're not ready for that yet. We're not ready for that yet. Right? We're not ready for that yet. They didn't teach you that. I just taught you a few words. Mabni, morab, and I'm getting into these details. So when we get there, when we do get there, this term morab and mabni, if I wait till later on in the future to mention these terms, when we get there, then he's like, what is this? What is mabni? What is mu'rab? What is this? I just mentioned them some of the term now. And tell you means fixed. I mentioned the term now, mu'rab. I tell you means changeable. So when we do get there, and you hear it now, and you see it now being mentioned and used a lot, oh, now you know what it means. Oh, okay, I'm familiar. When we get there and I start explaining, oh, okay, yeah, you was always using those terms before in the beginning of the lesson, even though I didn't explain everything in details. Because you notice they don't use it in the book. But in the book, Arabic Made Easy. But you notice when I'm picking up the books on Arabic grammar, every book, every level of the book is talking about Mu'rab and Mabni. So that's why I'm saying it to you now, just to turn. So I hope everything is easy. It's late, 12:30. I'm tired, losing my voice. Any questions? Sister Aliyah? Good. Understand my points now? Why I said wait? Understand why I'm saying wait? Why I tell you certain things we're not ready for now? This example I just written for you should let you know why. Computer don't act up now. Okay, there we go. Delete that. Here we go. Yeah, now you see why I say what I say. Alright? That's why I don't want to get into it. It's fixed. Everything is fixed. Yeah, it's fixed. But there's some exceptions to the rule. It can't be this fixed. It's not fixed with fatah only. Alright? You're going to learn. And then we do even with mu'rab. Fi'l mudara, which is mu'rab, you're going to see. You're going to learn that fi'l mudara is changeable. You're going to learn it's changeable. But there's some exceptions to the rule. If fixed fi'l mudara is mu'rabi damma. It could be fatah. Right? It could be sukun. Alright? You're learning some little exceptions to the rule. Past tense verb. Well, I said before though, and then kasra. Right? You're going to see some examples you read in Quran. Past tense verb. I think even some of the ayats that we read from last time are past tense verb. It ended with kasra. Actually, let me show you. I think I did even put it in the notes too. No, I didn't put it in the notes. I remember one of the ayats we were reading. I don't think I put it down. I didn't put it down. Alright, so inshallah, I hope that ends, inshallah, for next weekend, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik wa rashadallah wa ant wa astaghfirullah wa tubu ilayk. And any questions, you can always hit me up in the box, IM, email, things like that.